Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Mono's English Podcast with her best friend, Joy. I am Mono.
And I am Joy. We are really happy to have you here again.
So, in our last podcast, we talked about Twisted Love, and while we saw the views, we didn't get much response from you.
Yeah. And that made us think maybe you enjoyed it, but needed a bit more support to follow the story and improve your English.
So, this time we have created something extra for you, helpful PDFs, key vocabularies, expressions, and small activities based on each episode. This guide will help you understand the story better and learn English more easily step by step.
And today's story continues the Twisted series.
After Twisted Love, we are now diving into Twisted Games.
The story of Bridget, Ava's friend.
A whole new journey begins there.
So let's get started.
And don't forget to check the PDFs and follow along. Okay, let's unpack this. Have you ever considered how the most intense, unexpected relationships often reveal the deepest parts of ourselves, especially when, everything is on the line?
Absolutely. It's rarely the big, obvious stuff at first, is it?
Yeah.
It's often the tiny moments, sometimes even the friction, that build something, well, profound.
We basically take stacks of sources, articles, research, our own notes, and pull out the most important bits, the key insights, giving you that aha moment without all the noise.
Right. Less reading, more understanding.
Exactly. Today, we're kind of treating the narrative of Twisted Games as a factual case study. We're going to dive into the world of Princess Bridget and her bodyguard, Rhys Larson, analyzing their unfolding story almost like it was a real-world thing. It's a fascinating look at how characters evolve, how relationships navigate, extreme pressure.
And crucially, as you said, we'll look at how the language used brings this whole world to life, which is fantastic if you, our listener, are looking to pick up some really vivid vocabulary for speaking.
Yes, that's a key part of our mission today. Tracking Bridget and Rhys's journey step by step, getting a handle on their characters as they change.
And really highlighting those specific words and phrases that paint the picture. If you're an English learner focusing on speaking, these are gold. They're not just plot points, they're like tools for expression.
Totally. Okay, let's jump right in. Part 1. The Royal and the Bodyguard, First Impressions and Friction. So the story kicks off with Princess Bridget. She's a royal, but she's also studying at Thayer University.
Right, trying to have some semblance of a normal life.
Sort of. But then there's a big shift. Her trusted bodyguard, Booth, he's leaving. He's going on paternity leave. That phrase, paternity leave, really common, useful one for time off for new dads.
And the sources really stress that Booth wasn't just security, he was a friend. That sets a baseline.
Which makes Rhys's entrance feel even more abrupt.
Oh, completely. He's not operating on that same friendly level. Not at all.
And bam, immediate friction. Rhys Larson, the new guy, super intense. He doesn't waste a second. His very first move, he orders Bridget to move out of her apartment,
which is described as her spacious but cozy two-bedroom abode. That's a lovely phrase, isn't it? Spacious but cozy abode gives you a real feel for a comfortable home.
And she has to move because of security concerns. His concerns, obviously.
And her reaction is instant. That feeling of him ordering me around like he was the boss, and her thought, who does he think he is? I mean, those are perfect, natural ways to express that feeling of disbelief, right, when someone just barges in.
Yeah, that annoyance sets up a power struggle right away.
Definitely.
Her initial reaction is, well, sharp. The text says, any attraction I'd felt toward him crumbled into ash, dying the quickest death.
Wow. Crumbled into ash. Such a vivid way to say feelings just vanished. Poof, gone.
Yeah, leaves nothing. And she immediately clocks his condescending tone.
That's another great term. Condescending tone. Useful for describing that feeling when someone talks down to you, like they're superior.
He shows the power imbalance right from the start.
And then, yes, that direct challenge. Understand, Your Highness.
What's fascinating here is how Bridget reacts internally.
Exactly what you picked up on. Her internal thoughts are so vivid.
What I wanted most was to slap the arrogant expression off his face and knee him in the family jewels.
So to knee him in the family jewels is a very colorful, informal, and aggressive way of saying she wanted to kick him in the groin area.
It's a phrase that really conveys her extreme frustration and anger in that moment.
It's a visceral, raw reaction to his condescending tone and control.
It perfectly captures her defiance and how much he's getting under her skin.
And he's not impressed with Booth's relaxed methods either. It really sets the stage for his whole approach. Intense, no nonsense.
Makes you wonder, like you said, how much those first judgments really color everything after.
Exactly. How much do we let them define the relationship going forward?
When he says Bridget would be the death of me, he means she's going to push him to his absolute limit. Like she's so frustrating and difficult, she'll drive him crazy.
It's the death of his patience and the death of his sanity.
That phrase, death of me, is a common idiom in English.
We use it when someone or something is incredibly annoying or challenging.
It implies a deep level of exasperation and emotional exhaustion.
Think of it as a dramatic way to say, you're driving me absolutely nuts.
Whenever I say right, she went left, and when I say leave, she stays.
That perfectly illustrates her defiance.
She consistently does the opposite of what he tells her.
It's her way of asserting her independence.
So for English learners, the death of me here means she's a constant source of frustration.
And a major challenge to his professional composure.
Okay, let's move to part 2. Surprising sparks and unveiling layers. Because despite all that initial antagonism, something starts to shift. It's subtle at first.
Yeah, like in that college bar incident.
Right. Some frat boy insults Bridget and Rhys steps in immediately. There's this dangerous edge bled into my voice.
Even though they clearly don't like each other at this point. So when the book refers to a frat boy, it's talking about a male member of a college fraternity.
Now, that's the literal definition, but the phrase carries a lot of connotation.
Yeah, when used in this way, it often suggests someone who is entitled, arrogant.
Sometimes immature and prone to disrespectful behavior.
Especially towards women, like they feel they can get away with anything.
In this scene, the frat boy is definitely being rude to Bridget. But Bridget, even though she's insulted, she handles it with this. Regal iciness radiated from her every pore.
That is such a fantastic description. Regal iciness radiated from her every pore. You just picture it, don't you? Dignified disapproval, total composure.
Totally. And Rhys internally thinks the guy's puny brain had finally caught up.
Which is pretty informal, kind of insulting, shows his contempt.
Yeah.
But the key thing here is Rhys's protectiveness kicks in over his personal dislike. It hints maybe there's something deeper there. So in that backyard scene, Rhys is exercising, right?
He's doing pull-ups and push-ups, very physically impressive.
And Bridget is watching him intensely.
The book says her once intensified.
So when it says she's ogling him, it means she's looking at him with intense, often lustful or admiring attention.
It implies a prolonged, sometimes undisguised, stare because of attraction.
It's more than just a quick glance. It's a deep, appreciative look.
And Rhys clearly notices her doing it.
His line, "Are you going to keep ogling me, or do you have something I can help you with, princess?" And her reaction, "I wasn't ogling you," is her trying to deny it. It's that classic moment of being caught staring at someone you're attracted to.
So for English learners, ogling is to stare at someone in a lecherous or overtly sexual way.
It's usually about physical attraction and often implies a bit of a bold or unashamed gaze.
It adds to the grittier marities we were talking about earlier, showing this isn't your typical fairy tale.
It immediately sets the tone for the kind of fierce, combative, and deeply sensual relationship they're going to have.
It perfectly fits that stereotype we talked about with the frat boy incident, actually.
This interaction shows Bridget won't tolerate disrespect even if she's caught ogling.
It really highlights her strength and how she handles confrontation, even internal ones.
That early glimpse of her inner fire is a key part of her character, isn't it?
The part of her that refuses to be bossed around.
She might be polite on the outside, but internally she's ready to fight back.
Then we get that funny moment, the upside-down book debacle.
Oh, yeah. That was good.
Rhys catches her reading a book upside down, mocks her. She gets embarrassed. His dry humor comes out. Sure seems that way. By the way, princess, the book is upside down.
Debacle. Great word for an embarrassing mess-up. And she thinks he's insufferable.
Which he kind of is to her at this point.
Absolutely. Insufferable. Perfect for someone unbearable, arrogant. But even though he's annoying her, these little interactions, they feel different, don't they?
Yeah, it's not just duty. He's watching her, poking her a bit.
Trying to get a reaction, maybe?
Actually,
see what she's really like. It shows he's actually engaging with her.
And as we go deeper, we see beyond those surfaces. Rhys apparently expected Bridget to be a superficial airhead. That's the phrase used.
Which is pretty harsh judgment, right? Superficial airhead. Good phrase for someone you think is shallow.
But he's surprised she's not. And she shares her passion for volunteering at animal shelters. It's her way to feel close to her mom who passed away.
And that leads to this pause, this lull in our normally antagonistic relationship. Antagonistic relationship. Good, clear term for one full of hostility.
Right. And her volunteering, she feels compelled to do it. It's like this strong internal drive.
That shared vulnerability, even just for a moment, it breaks through the walls a bit.
And Rhys, he's got his own deep stuff going on. We get hints about his military past.
The heavy stuff.
He mentions the deployments, the uncertainty, the funerals. Watching men I considered brothers die right in front of me, that puts his protectiveness in a whole new light.
Oh, absolutely. It explains so much why he might have vacillated so much in my feelings. That's a great phrase for swinging back and forth emotionally.
Yeah, it is. So when Rhys says he'd survive, however long it took before I kicked the bucket, he's referring to his own death.
Kick the bucket is a very informal way to say someone dies.
It's not a literal action, but an idiom.
It's used to convey that he'd rather go to his grave without knowing this secret.
Even though Christian is trying to push him towards finding out.
This secret is about his past in Eldora, which we later learn involves his family history.
It highlights just how deeply he wants to avoid confronting that part of his life.
He'd rather let time run out, let his life end.
Than face the pain or complications of uncovering those details.
It shows his desire to keep his past buried.
And this kick the bucket line just underscores it so deeply.
It's a key piece of the puzzle in understanding why he's so intense.
And focused on his bodyguard duties.
Because that's a way for him to avoid his personal life, right?
He's avoiding his past, which he clearly finds very painful.
His resistance to Christian's offer speaks volumes.
It perfectly illustrates his emotional state.
And his desire to keep his past buried.
It reveals his inner struggle.
That phrase, kick the bucket, really encapsulates that.
Then comes the Christmas miracle. A genuinely surprising moment.
A little laugh.
Yes! Rhys actually laughs. For real. Bridget jokes about him increasing her risk of rupturing an artery.
Which is such a funny, over-the-top way to put it.
And he laughs, the text says. A chuckle escaped my throat. The sound so foreign I barely recognized it as my own. It stirs something foreign in him.
That's a huge crack in his armor, isn't it? A rare glimpse of the person underneath the guard. A real turning point, maybe, in how they see each other and how he sees himself.
We see more of that hidden softer side, too, with the indoor festival.
Right. Thoughtful, but reluctant.
He sets up this whole thing for Bridget because she missed the real one. He gets Jules to help, calling her a menace, his usual charm.
Huh. Yeah, menace. Perfect word for someone annoying, but maybe kind of helpful. And Bridget doesn't even know it was him at first.
She thinks it was her friends. He's such a total buzzkill about taking credit.
Total buzzkill. Great informal term for someone who ruins the fun. But it's a perfect example of his actions speaking louder than words. He cares, even if he grumbles about it, shows affection in his own way.
So now we come to the kidnapping, which, as you rightly pointed out, is a critical moment.
It's the point where Rhys's protective instincts truly explode into action.
And it reveals the deep tension that was already brewing between them.
The kidnapping itself is a callback to Twisted Love, featuring characters like Alex Volkov's uncle.
But here in Twisted Games, we see the profound emotional aftermath.
Rhys is absolutely livid.
His anger isn't just because Bridget was taken, but because she disobeyed him.
He believes her going to that concert without his knowledge put her in direct harm's way.
His reasoning is, if she had only been transparent, this whole nightmare could have been avoided.
We hear him yell, "You can't screw around with my rules."
He says, they were there to protect her, damn it.
And the fresh terror he experiences realizing she was missing is vividly described.
This leads us to the crucial discovery, the tracking ship.
That's where the intense negotiation you mentioned really kicks off.
Rhys admits he had the foresight to plant a secret tracking ship in her phone.
He even growls, "It's a good thing I did, or you'd probably be dead right now." But Bridget, being Bridget, isn't just going to accept that.
She views it as a complete invasion of her privacy and a breach of trust.
She powerfully counters with, "Trust is a two-way street. You placed a secret chip in my phone."
Her fierce defiance, even after such a traumatic ordeal, is truly remarkable.
She then proposes a very strategic compromise.
Take out the chip, and I'll do what you say when you say it, as long as it's security related.
And she backs it up with a firm promise. "I don't break my promises, Mr. Larson."
Despite Rhys's immediate instinct to refuse, to say hell no, he surprisingly agrees to a trial period.
He sets the terms. 4 months, you keep up your end of the bargain, and I back off.
And his threat if she fails is quite vivid. Handcuff you to me until you can't even piss in peace.
It's a huge moment that showcases Bridget's resilience and her insistence on personal autonomy.
This entire sequence perfectly encapsulates their combative yet developing relationship.
Then we see that graduation day, Bridget is feeling quite isolated.
Her brother and grandfather aren't there, leaving her feeling lonely.
And Rhys, in a really thoughtful gesture, takes her to that utopian spot.
The YouTube dish place she loves is a very personal act of comfort.
And it's there, during their getting to know Rhys Larson game,
that he starts to open up, even grudgingly.
He shares some surprisingly intimate details.
Like his favorite food, baked sweet potatoes.
And his favorite color, black. Shocker, as the source puts it.
His favorite movie, Reservoir Dogs.
But then it gets even deeper.
She asks about his biggest fear, which he reveals is failure.
And his biggest dream, which is peace.
These are incredibly telling, especially given his background.
They hint at his military past and the heavy burdens he carries.
And you specifically asked about his biggest regret.
He answers that with one word: inaction.
That's powerful, isn't it? It suggests a moment where not acting had profound consequences.
It paints a picture of a man who takes responsibility.
And perhaps lives with the weight of past decisions, or lack thereof.
These insights give us such a clearer picture of Rhys.
They reveal the man beneath the bodyguard.
And his vulnerabilities, not just his strength.
It connects to that inner battle he's constantly fighting.
Which we discussed earlier when we talked about his self-talk.
So those moments on graduation day are truly foundational. Okay, things get really serious in part 3. Duty, dissent, and deeper feelings. Prince Nikolai drops a bombshell. He's abdicating the throne.
Abdicate, key word there. Formal means giving up the throne. And Bridget's reaction is pure terror.
Yeah, that description. Dread ballooned in my stomach, growing and growing until it squeezed all the air from my lungs. Just visceral fear.
It thrusts her into this role she never wanted, never expected. Huge pressure.
And her distress, plus a storm, leads to that writing accident.
And Rhys's reaction is extreme.
Full-blown terror. He just sprints to find her. He even ignores the deputy security chief, Vigo.
Calls him a moron.
Right, an informal insult, and actually shoves him. Ellen is scandalized.
Which shows how out of line he is in that formal setting. But it underlines that his protectiveness is way beyond professional now. It's personal, primal, almost.
Then, with Bridget set to move back to Eldora, Rhys just resigns.
Abruptly. He thinks she won't need him.
And you see that flicker of hurt in his eyes. Bridget is floored. Everything's stopped. You're resigning.
That moment really shows how much they've actually come to depend on each other, doesn't it? Despite all the fighting, the shock reveals this connection they hadn't fully faced. So, as we were saying, Bridget is in a very vulnerable state.
And vulnerable means open to emotional or physical harm.
She confides in Rhys, her bodyguard, revealing her deepest desires.
She tells him about her secret bucket list.
A list of 4 things she wants to do before her life is no longer her own.
First, to go somewhere completely anonymous where no one knows or cares who I am.
Second, to just relax, eat, and read and sunbathe all day without any obligations.
Third, to do something wild, an adrenaline rush activity like bungee jumping.
And fourth, a very personal desire: have an orgasm I didn't give myself.
Now, at this moment, there's intense mutual attraction between them.
They both want each other, as you said, very clearly.
But Rhys shows incredible restraint.
Restraint is the act of holding back or controlling one's impulses.
He recognizes Bridget is intoxicated, her judgment compromised.
He explicitly chooses not to take advantage of her in that vulnerable state.
Which truly speaks volumes about his character, showing deep respect for her.
He even says definitely still drunk.
So knowing her bucket list and wanting her to savor being normal for the last time,
Rhys decides to help her fulfill those wishes.
this leads to their spontaneous and very private trip to Costa Rica.
It's an incredible escape of 5 days in paradise.
Her first bucket list item is immediately fulfilled there.
She gets to truly relax, eat and read and sunbathe all day, fulfilling her second wish.
And Rhys ensures she gets that adrenaline rush activity.
They go ziplining, checking off her third item.
And then there's the pool scene.
This is a really pivotal moment in their connection.
Pivotal means crucial or extremely important, a turning point.
In that pool, the 4th item on her bucket list comes to life. One of the most powerful moments in Twisted Games.
It's the pool scene.
Yes, that's when Bridget sees Rhys without his shirt for the first time.
And she sees the scars on his back.
His back is covered with old marks.
Even cigarette burns.
It's the first time we understand why he always covers himself.
We learned that his mother used to hurt him.
Because he reminded her of his father.
And in that quiet moment, he lets Bridget see everything.
He shows his heart, his pain, his vulnerability.
That's what our cover image captures too.
Not just romance, but truth.
The moment when someone lets you see their past. But as the book explicitly states, it's so much more than a bucket list item.
It's where their hidden emotions, their undeniable connection, finally come to the surface.
It's intensely physical, yes, but it's also deeply emotional.
It's where their relationship truly solidifies.
After that trip, the official news of Nikolai's abdication breaks.
Pulling them back to the reality of Bridget's new destiny.
But their bond, forged in Costa Rica and through his earlier restraint, is now unbreakable.
They've shared something profound and transformative.
Profound means very great or intense or showing great knowledge or insight. Then the hammer drops for Bridget. She finds out she's becoming queen in 9 months. and she has to marry an acceptable husband. The royal marriages law.
Ugh, the pressure must be immense. It makes bile rise in her throat.
Great phrase for that feeling of disgust or dread.
Absolutely. And she's worried about becoming the laughingstock of the world. It sets up this massive conflict, her heart versus her duty.
But then, a twist. Rhys isn't gone for long.
No. Through his old boss, Christian Harper, he gets himself reassigned. Back to her security detail. Permanently.
Which totally surprises Bridget. He just shows up again.
Leading us neatly into part 4. Jealousy, intrigue, and explosive revelations. Bridget's birthday ball. It's also a matchmaking event.
Packed with European bachelors. And Rhys's is not happy.
Not at all. Visibly furious. Jealous. The text mentions his blood burn, watching her dance with others, especially Stefan. And he has this noticeable glower.
Glower. Great word for that angry, sullen look. His feelings are clearly not just professional anymore.
No, it's pure jealousy. Possessive, even. A huge sign things have shifted into romance for him.
And he starts intervening. He confronts her in the bathroom. Later, he physically stops Lord Urhall, the Speaker of Parliament, from grabbing her.
Declares, "Over my dead body."
Which is such a strong refusal. Absolute determination.
And then he gives her a security alarm, but makes a joke about it. It shows their unique dynamic. They find lightness even in danger.
Yeah.
Shows his savvy, his shrewdness, and how he cares for her.
And she feels giddy, which is telling. Extreme excitement, despite the situation.
But then things get really dangerous. The leaked video.
Ugh. Yeah. A private, intimate video from the palace library sent straight to Bridget. She becomes a mess of nerves.
Mess of nerves.
Yeah.
Perfect description for being incredibly anxious. And she knows it's a damning video.
Meaning it could ruin everything. Prove guilt, destroy reputation.
It's a massive threat. Puts them right on the edge. Shows the high price and constant scrutiny of royal life.
And of course the news breaks. The Daily Tea runs the story. Her family confronts her.
Leading to that awful argument where King Edward collapses.
Yeah.
Right after Bridget refuses to break up with Rhys.
Just devastating. The breaking point.
Which forces the painful parting.
Yeah.
The guilt, the pressure.
Yeah.
It's too much. Bridget tells Rhys she has to marry Stefan because of the law. She ends it.
And his face just shuts down, turns to steel walls, harder and more guarded.
Powerful metaphor. Total emotional shutdown. Impenetrable. He just walks out.
Leaving her crumpled and devastated. Just gutted.
It's the direct, agonizing result of their positions, the old laws trapping them.
Rhys does not handle it well. He spiraled hard.
Yeah, drinking, quits his job again, losing control.
His friend Christian steps in to, tide him over, give him some temporary support.
And then Christian drops another bombshell revelation.
Right. Arthur Urhall, the speaker, the guy causing so much trouble, he's Rhys's father.
Which makes Andreas von Aschberg, another antagonist, his half-brother. Talk about complicated.
No kidding. His father is the bane of his existence, the source of all his problems. And Andreas is his brother. You just think, go figure.
Exactly. Go figure. Perfect expression for that kind of ironic surprise. It completely changes Rhys's stake in Eldora. It's personal now. About family, legacy, not just Bridget.
Okay, that brings us to part 5. Fighting for what matters. And there's another surprise with Stefan.
Yeah, he comes clean to Bridget. He's actually in love with someone else, Melon. Their engagement is just an arrangement.
Arrangement, highlighting it's predetermined, no real affection involved. He even shares his own story of forbidden love and duty, uses the word bluff for an empty threat he made.
And Bridget totally gets it. It creates this unexpected bond, this solidarity. He goes from rival to ally, shows how truth can forge connections even in messed up systems.
Stefan's honesty, plus her feelings for Rhys, spurs Bridget into action. A really bold move.
Mm-hmm. The Alex Volkov call.
Yeah, she calls in a favor, knows that information is power.
Calling in my favor, quid pro quo, right?
Yeah.
And information is power, a classic maxim. Knowledge is leverage.
She wants blackmail material on Urhall to repeal the royal marriages law, but she needs plausible deniability.
Plausible deniability, being able to credibly deny knowing anything about it. Crucial for her position.
Yeah.
This is Bridget stepping up. Assertive, strategic, fighting for what she wants.
Then finally, the reconciliation. Rhys gets it now. The pressure she was under, he leaves her a note.
They meet, they talk, they admit they were both wrong, both hurt.
You feel the regret twisted my insides vibe,
Mm.
and the understanding that she needed the space to sort through her thoughts.
It shows real maturity. Vulnerability, they understand each other's burdens now. It makes their partnership stronger.
And the plan comes together. Bridget tells Rhys, blackmail Urhall, repeal the law.
And Rhys is immediately back in protective mode. That fierce need to protect her from the world, from her own doubts and insecurities, consumed him.
He's all in. He even jokes darkly, burn down Parliament as plan B.
Which, coming from him, is actually kind of funny in their context. Shows their unique bond, even under all this pressure. He's not just a bodyguard, he's her partner in crime, almost.
Then comes the big public moment. This isn't just personal anymore, it's about leading her country.
Right. Bridget gives this powerful speech, admits her fears, but commits to Eldora, and she directly challenges the royal marriages law, calling it a relic.
A relic from a time that no longer exists. Such a strong way to frame it as outdated. She formally appeals to Parliament to reconsider their stance.
Appeal to Parliament to reconsider their stance. That's the official language. It's a masterclass, really. Shows her growth into this formidable leader.
Then the vote in Parliament. Super tense. Rhys is there, offering quiet confidence.
That quiet confidence is everything. Shows his unwavering support. And when the final yay comes...
The relief. Months of agonizing finally over. She's ecstatic.
You feel that release, the weight lifting after such a long struggle.
But there's one more twist. Ilyn.
Yes. Bridget confronts her. Ilyn admits she leaked the video.
Trying to create a smaller scandal to prevent a larger one in her mind? Twisted loyalty?
Misguided, definitely.
Yeah.
Trying to protect the family in a destructive way. And Bridget fires her.
Marking the end of an era, Bridget fully taking charge, making the tough calls, establishing her authority.
Which leads us nicely into the final part, part 6. Reigning together, a new family. 3 months pass. Rhys has a surprise.
Costa Rica, he takes her back to the villa and reveals he bought it.
Says he wanted a place that belonged to us. For sentimental purposes.
It holds so much meaning for them, and
Yeah.
Bridget squeals with excitement in a decidedly un-princess-like manner.
Which is perfect. Shows her dropping the formal role, just being happy with him, in their place. A symbol of their freedom.
Then, Coronation Day, she's crowned Queen Bridget of Eldora.
And Rhys watches, filled with pride. Pride seeped through me, it says. The formal language returns oaths. Collective hush. Long may she reign. Captures the ceremony.
Yeah, the solemnity. And there's that nice moment between Rhys and Nikolai. Brotherly bonding, new connections forming.
It cements Rhys's place beside her, not just as partner, but as a pillar of her reign.
Bridget reflecting on this feeling of having a family. With Rhys, her friends.
Even adopted members like Booth's wife Emma and Leather the parrot.
Yeah. And it makes you think, right, how does this found family compare to, or maybe complete, the family you're born into?
That's a great question. Bridget even extends an olive branch, a peace offering to Michaela. It speaks to forgiveness, choosing to build new connections. Family is a choice, built on support and connection, not just blood.
It's quite a journey they went on. Finding love, finding fulfillment, despite all that insane pressure, the duty, the family secrets.
Really shows the power of, well, talking to each other, being vulnerable, and actually fighting for what you believe in.
Even when it seems impossible.
Exactly. It makes you wonder about our own lives, doesn't it? How much is just mapped out for us by circumstances, expectations.
And how much can we actually shape ourselves?
Well,
Through bold choices, through courage, even when everyone expects something else.
that's the provocative thought, I guess.
Yeah.
How much agency do we really have to rewrite our own script? So just a quick reminder, in this podcast, we try to explain the story while also helping you learn English.
Yeah, we talk about the story, but we also explain key vocabulary, expressions, and meaning along the way.
But if you ever feel like you are missing the full story or not getting the full connection, we totally recommend you read the book.
And if you are 18 or above, because honestly, this book is spicy, like really spicy.
Yes, super spicy, but beautiful too. You will definitely enjoy it if you are into romance and deeper emotional stories.
Of course, the book is long and we can't talk about everything in one episode.
So we cover as much as we can, the main scenes, the emotions, and English learning points.
And we have also created a short PDF for you.
It has the vocabs, expressions, and all. Please check it out. And if you like it, or even if you have suggestions, please comment, like, and subscribe.
Your feedback helps us improve and give you what you need. So enjoy the podcast, enjoy the story, and don't forget to let us know what you think.